Happy Wednesday, Boo Kittens. It's me, Keisha, and I'm here with this week's All Tea, All Shade Next Gen NYC Season 1, Episode 7 review. Next week is the season finale episode. I gotta say, this series premiere season has been really, really good. I really feel that they're going to get a season 2. I would really be shocked if they didn't, because they've been pulling in better numbers than the Real Housewives of New York. So we shall see. But I think that everybody showed up and showed out for the most part. But in episode 7, they're still at the Jersey Shore celebrating Brooke's birthday. And we find out that Georgia didn't return to the shore house. She actually got a really dope suite at a nearby hotel and slept there with her boyfriend Omar, who I didn't even realize was with them at the dinner table because he was sitting there on the mute. And I'm not saying that he has to fight Georgia's battles, but he ain't say nothing. Like, I guess. Well, I don't see it for them no way, but Ariana tells Hudson that she wants to talk to Georgia because she feels like she may have been too mean, and she might have been on some mean girl stuff the night before, and she feels bad. Riley tells Georgia over the phone that she's proud that she stuck up for herself when it came to the situation with Ariana and everybody just basically forgetting what Charlie did to her. It was like it all was negated and nobody was holding him accountable. And she was happy that she actually spoke up for herself, because that was kind of foul and messed up for them to just continue to talk to him and include him in things like he didn't do something really effed up to her. Hudson, we find out that night, also confronted Charlie about liking Ariana. And Charlie was like, I just said she was hot. I just said you was cute. She was cute or whatever. He not admitting that he said he wanted to F her. Like, Charlie is such a punk. He is such a punk. When he is confronted, he completely cowers. Completely, right? So then we go back to the city because Ava didn't come on the trip because she said that she had to go to this Dolce & Gabbana event or whatever, trying to act like she's so busy. She just didn't want to come, child. That's really all that it was. But we find out that this girl had a cockroach in her apartment and called the maintenance man to come get it. Girl. Now, if you want to talk about privilege, that is privilege, honey. Woo! Jesus be offense, okay? That is ridiculous. But low-key, I can see my son doing the same thing, because my son do not with bugs at all, okay? He does not. It's so crazy that he won't F with a bug for real, but he'll sit outside, and in my neighborhood, because I'm in the suburbs or whatever, we be having raccoons and possums and gophers and all types of stuff running around the backyard, and he'll sit out there and it'll be a random raccoon or a possum walk by and he just be sitting there like it's a nothing. He is so weird to me. I love that little boy. But anywho, Riley, instead of going to the beach with everybody else, she initially goes to the hotel where Georgia is and kicks it with Georgia at a cabana at the hotel. And they were really having a good time and, bonding with each other, laughing and stuff. And it was really cute to see them, starting to bond with one another and build a rapport. So, at the beach, however, Amira tells some of the group members how she's upset with Georgia over the Ozempic comment that she made. And she admits in her confessional that she has had issues with food in the past and things like that. And, you have to be careful of the things that you say to people. And I agree with that. You just can't say any and everything to everybody. Like, you don't have to say everything that comes to mind, okay? Because you don't know who you're offending and who you might be triggering, So Riley and Georgia come to the beach to join the rest of the crew. And as they're walking down the dock, Riley trips and ends up dropping her phone in the water. And she's like, oh my God, or what. It was funny though. It was so funny the way it happened. It was really funny. But she was like, I'll give somebody $1,000 if they can jump in and get my phone. So Charlie was like, oh, here I go. He was like, shit, I do it for $5. He immediately took off his stuff and jumped in the water to try to get a phone that we all knew wasn't nobody gonna be able to get. Because first of all, that water was dirty as hell. You ain't gonna be able to see shit. I wouldn't even open my eyes to even look in that water. Like, disgusting. But he hurried up and jumped. And at that point, that's when they all realized, yeah, we ain't getting that money for that table. Because if he jumping in the water for $1,000, God knows what he'll do for a little piece of strange change, okay? But then Georgia, who has come to the beach in a robe because Riley forgot to bring her bag of clothes, was like, I'll jump in and find it for you. But she didn't have no shirt on. All she had on was a robe and some underwear. And so Charlie was like, you can put on my shirt. So she put on Charlie's shirt and she jumped in the water in a tank top and some underwear and tried to find it. But of course she couldn't find it either. Here go Gia. This is so embarrassing, bro. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is so embarrassing. Gia, you're an embarrassment. Your whole family is an embarrassment. Shut up. Like, she's just annoying. She's been annoying since she was a little girl. I literally was watching an episode. I had the TV on as I'm filming right now. You can see it right here. But I have the Bravo Real Housewives Vault channel, and they've been showing episodes of Jersey. And I literally just watched the episode where they had a field day or whatever with everybody. And this is when Kathy Wakili and all of them was on the show, and they had a field day, if y'all remember this. And Gia acted a plumb fool, talking about some, you're cheating, you're a cheater, and got mad and was talking to grown folks crazy. And then when Caroline and her sister-in-law, old girl, tried to go in there and talk to her about, not being a sore loser, she was like, my mom doesn't, nobody talked to me like that before. I don't want to hear that. And she was just acting like a Tasmanian devil. And Teresa did nothing about it. She was like, I don't say nothing to your kids. Don't say nothing to my kids. I mean, that little girl has been grown forever and involving herself in grown people's business, talking to grown people crazy. She ain't never been reprimanded for her behavior. And that's why she act the way that she do now, because nobody ever checked her as a child. She ain't never been checked before. And that's what needs to happen to Gia. Somebody need to cuss her out and check her ass, because it's never happened before. So as all of this is going on, Riley then was like, but I could just use my other phone. And everybody was like, girl, you got another phone? You had them jumping in the water and stuff, and you had another phone this whole time? And she was like, yeah, but that was my good phone. That one had better service. Yo, you want to talk about privilege? That was privilege. That was funny to me, okay? Girl, bye, Riley, bye. So at dinner that night, before they sit down, Ariana and Georgia talking, they apologize to each other, they make up. Shia joins the group, and I really like Shia. He one of the people that got some sense a little bit, and he funny. So while they're at dinner, Georgia makes an announcement how she's potentially opening up a club, but it's going to be a bowling alley club. And she was like, I'm going to have like a little launch party or whatever. This is just like a little, party I'm having. It's not going to be like my actual club or whatever. So she's explaining the logistics of it, how it's going to be a dance room and cafeteria lane style food and all of this stuff or whatever. And while she's explaining all this, everybody at the table is making faces and smirking, right? Thinking like, this is the dumbest shit I ever heard in my life, right? But Georgia asked for everybody's feedback. She was like, I want your feedback, right? Now she asked for feedback. Riley asks who's going to financially back this. And Georgia says, Omar. And so Amira then takes the opportunity to confront Georgia. And she was like, well, if you're going to sell food there, I'm going to urge that you not comment on people's food because I was very offended by that Ozempic comment that you made to me. And meanwhile, Gia was like, oh, she's a badass. Like, oh my gosh, she's a badass for how she's coming to Georgia. Like, she was going up for the way Amira confronted her, right? Georgia was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't know I offended you. I'm so sorry. But back to the food, you guys. So I'm going to have corn dogs. I'm going to have chips. I'm going to have dip. Like, she pulled a Charlie. Apologized just to have the situation done and over with, but really could care less, honestly. Like, she literally pulled a Charlie on Amira. And Amira, you could tell, was very annoyed and like, this bitch just placated me pretty much, right? You could tell she was mad about it. And Georgia was not reading the room whatsoever. So Shia is sitting there stunned that Georgia is so oblivious that she just offended Amira. Like, he cannot believe what's going on. So at this point, Riley she drunk. You know, she ain't flat out drunk, but she's clearly needs to stop drinking at this point. Like, she a little hazy, you know, her speech is a little slurred or whatever, right? So, mind you, the night before, she had a lot to drink and was partying. And when they got back to the house, apparently she had taken Hudson's shirt and was like whipping him with it, hitting him with it. And they showed us a clip where he was getting his shirt from her, snatching his shirt from her. Now, I couldn't tell if he looked upset or anything like that. It seemed like they were playing. He might have been a little annoyed by her. I don't know. But she had been drinking a lot the night before, and now she's drinking a lot again. And I wish that she would remember we're on TV and I am around a bunch of white people. You got to be careful about your surroundings with certain people. As Black people, we just have to be aware of our surroundings. And especially with this group of people, you have to be aware of what you say and do, because as we have seen, they will flip on you on a dime, even though they're supposed to be her quote unquote friends. Okay. So I wish that if they do get a season 2, that she would be more mindful of her alcohol consumption around them. And just period. You don't need to be out here getting drunk like that. But Riley goes to speak up. And she was like, you know what? Never mind. Never mind. I'm not going to say it. Never mind. And everybody was like, no, I mean, you've already said something. You might as well go ahead and say it, right? Now, they urged her to go ahead and say what she wanted to say. So Riley was like, this is a terrible idea. And on Watch What Happens Live, she said that she wasn't saying the idea itself was terrible. She was saying that the cafeteria style food element was a terrible idea. And I agree too. Like, cause no, absolutely not. So Gia was like, Riley, don't be nasty. And Riley was like, you know what? You're right. I apologize. I shouldn't have said that. My delivery was my delivery was wrong. It was totally wrong. I apologize. Like, she immediately realized that she said it in a bad way, right? So Ariana was like, it's okay. We all say dumb-ish. And Riley was like, what did I say that was dumb? No. Like, you can tell she drunk and she about to get in her feelings. You know, it's certain people, when they get drunk or tipsy, you say anything to them, baby, they about to bust out crying, right? And Ariana wasn't trying to be funny or anything like that. She was just talking, but Riley is taking it to heart now, right? So Gia was like, Riley, it was just rude, babe. I think when you get a little tipsy, you get a little rough. And see, this is where race comes into it, and I hate it, because on one side, we saw her the night before drunk and doing too much, playing or whatever. Like I said, I don't know if they were playing. I don't know if Hudson was annoyed by her. I don't know. We didn't get to see the full aspect, and we didn't get to see from Hudson if he was annoyed by her hitting him with his shirt, right? We don't know, right? So it could have been a situation where she was being rough. We don't know the logistics of it all. But then on the flip side, you got this little white girl coming to the black girl saying that when you get drunk, you get rough. But at the same token, the night before, when Georgia wanted to hold Charlie accountable for saying if she was a man, he'd slap her in the face, it was, leave him alone, bro. This kid, leave him alone. He's trying to eat his food. Why are we talking about this at the table? What? Leave it alone. Like, shut the fuck up and all of this stuff. But then you want to have a full discussion about Riley and her drinking and her quote unquote being rough. But Charlie has been Dennis the Menace the whole season. And it's okay to you. It was okay to you. It was okay for you to confront Charlie in the car and badger him the whole way to the restaurant the night before. But then when anybody else brought it up, it was a problem. Like, Gia, this is my issue with her. Because it is a double standard where she can do and say whatever the hell she wants to do and say. But can't nobody else. And that's why I think that I took such pause of her saying that to Riley. Because it's like, you of all people can't say nothing about nobody being rough. Because... your whole family rough and ghetto and hood. Okay? Y'all hood as fuck over there. People going to jail, lying, and all types of stuff. So just be quiet. So Ariana, sticks up for Riley and was like, but, when she's sober, she'll still say the same thing. Like, we're not going to just say this is how she is when she's drinking. Like, she going to say how she feel regardless. So Gia was like, but, I see her when she's sober and I see her when she's drunk. I see where the switch can flip a little bit. I'm saying that to help her. And Riley was like, why the F would you say that? And she gets up and walks away. She gets emotional because she's mad because Gia is coming for her once again. She came for her the night before. Now she's coming for her again. Shia gets up and was like, no, that's absurd because y'all act like, and they didn't show us the rest of what he was saying, but I'm going to figure he was going to say, y'all act like everybody else ain't drinking and like Riley is just a problem. And he was like, basically like, y'all not about to gang up on her. Well, you're not about to gang up on her, Gia. And he goes to console Riley. And at the table, Gia was like, I'm saying she's been drinking all weekend. And Ariana was like, haven't we all? Like, so Gia was like, everyone can vouch she's nasty when she drinks a little bit. Also, now she's nasty. But once again, you ain't want nobody confront Charlie about him being nasty. So it's like, don't try to put the one black girl in front of everybody. I didn't like that. I didn't like that because I feel like it would have been okay if y'all were holding Charlie accountable for the way he been acting all season and aired him out. It should be like that for everybody. Don't pick and choose who y'all want to confront and who you don't want to confront. You know what I'm saying? That's the issue. And that's why it becomes a racial thing, because it is like y'all always want to say something to Riley, who, granted, was a little rude, but it wasn't even that deep. But here you got Charlie that's owing people money, saying he a slap a bitch and all this type of stuff, calling girls out their name and all types of stuff. But that's okay. And that's the problem. That is the main problem here. So, like I said, Shia goes to check on Riley. And he basically agrees with her. Like, they wrong for trying to come at you for everything. Riley in her confessional was like, I'm confused why this message is coming from Gia. We're both harsh in our own quote unquote way. So for her to be able to say the things she does and me not to be able to, I feel there's a big double standard. And it is, because like Riley said, on paper, they both are harsh with their delivery. They're a lot alike with their delivery. And I'm not negating that Riley do got a mouth on her. She is Mama Joyce's granddaughter. She got it good and right from her people, right? But they both need to learn how to talk to people. They both do. So, back at the table, Gia was like, I was talking to her very carefully because it's like walking around on eggshells around her. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on or who you're gonna get. And once again, it's like, well, why you feel like you gotta walk around on eggshells with Riley? Why? Because she black and you don't want to seem like you're a racist. Like, you can talk to her if you have an issue, but you don't know how to talk to people. You talk to people rudely, Gia. And so Shia and Riley, meanwhile, are trying to practice how she's gonna return to the table and just smooth things over with Gia. And that shit was funny as hell when he was pretending to be Gia. It was like, hey, Christian, oh my God, Christian. So they come back to the table and Riley just says to Gia, like, we just gonna move forward. Like, it is what it is. And Gia was like, okay, whatever. So then after dinner, they in the house, they eating cake and everything. And Riley again apologizes to Georgia for the way that she came to her and admits that she does have bad delivery and that she's working on it. So as they're talking about it, Shia was like, oh my God, like, I don't understand why we still basically talking about this. We've been dissecting the most privileged argument ever for how long? And this starts another argument. Georgia was like, privilege? I have $4,000 in my bank account. I'm far from privileged. I work for everything I got. And Riley agrees with Shia that is a privileged conversation. You're sitting up here arguing about you being a 24-year-old girl, let alone a white girl, that's starting up a club. That is very privileged. You don't see that. And that has nothing to do with race or anything. Even if it was Riley being 24 talking about starting a nightclub, that is privileged talk. Most people can't have those kind of conversations. So as they're going back and forth arguing about what is privilege, what is not privilege, Shia leaves and goes to the back with the rest of the people. And so Georgia is arguing with Riley about the privilege conversation. And Riley was like, girl, I'm not the one that said this to you. Like, you arguing with me about it, but I'm not the one that even brought this whole thing up. Yeah, she agreed with Shia, but like, you mad at the wrong person. So Georgia says, Shia said it like generally, you're making this personal. And it was like, how is Riley making it personal when he was the one that said it to you? And even went on to say in his confessional that you starting a club at 24 is very privileged. You being at a beautiful home on the weekend at the Jersey Shore getting served by a chef is very privileged. Most people don't get to experience those types of things, Miss Mama. But you saying that Riley is the one that's making it personal, huh? So Shia returns to the kitchen and Georgia was like, she's saying I get to open a club because I'm privileged. And Riley said, will you stop? Are you dumb? Now, we say, are you dumb? That is offensive. You saying, are you dumb? But that's how we as black people speak, right? And it is calling somebody dumb when you say, are you dumb? I mean, regardless, whatever. But, Georgia was like, don't say I'm dumb. And Riley was like, I didn't say, I asked you. She was like, I didn't say shit to you. I explained everything. So then Georgia go laughing in Riley's face. And Riley said, Shia is the one that said something. Yeah, laugh, bitch, because you're dumb. And I was like, exactly, Riley, because don't sit up here and laugh in my face, bitch. Like, what the fuck is funny? Ain't shit funny, right? So Georgia was like, are you serious? That's literally what Charlie said to me. And here come Ariana Cap to save a whole ass. Riley, I love you, but if you say something out of pocket, then come back and say I shouldn't have said that. It still was said, girl. So I'm guessing Riley has said, you know what? You're right. I'm wrong. I shouldn't have called you dumb or whatever. And I get where Ariana's coming from, but it's just like wrong time. People are drunk. You cannot try to have serious conversations when people are inebriated. Like, just hold that for the next day when everybody's sober and you're able to talk to them. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you don't, just how we're annoyed with Gia always, with Gia jumping into everything. Riley, you don't have to jump into not Riley, Jesus Christ, all these kids. Ariana, what the fuck ever, shit. Ariana, you don't have to jump into everything. So at this point, Riley is confused because she thought Ariana would have her back, and is wondering, like, when did Ariana and Georgia even make up? Like, she thought that they weren't even cool. Like, she didn't even know that they had a conversation and made up before dinner, right? And the episode goes off. Yeah, if they do get a season 2, we're going to need another person of color to come on here, because the treatment is different for Riley. And I want to point out how when Amira confronted Georgia, Gia was like, oh my gosh, she's such a badass. Oh my God, get her, girl. Yeah, I love it. Such a bad girl energy. But when Riley says something, it's, you're being nasty, you're being rude, don't do that, don't say that, don't act this way, don't do that, you're rough, we walk on eggshells around. It's like, what the fuck is going on? But the difference is that Amira is racially ambiguous. You don't know when you look at her that she's a black woman, unless you can just really tell when somebody got mixed, they're mixed with something. But she is a black woman, she's mixed, right? And there's an obvious different treatment from her and Riley, Ava and Riley, because they're more socially acceptable to white people. They're more closer to whiteness than Riley is. They have more European features than obviously Riley does. You know what I'm saying? And Riley is viewed as this basically big black woman that is so scary and this, that, and the third. And it's not right. So they need another person of color that's going to come on here and be able to, really represent and back Riley up in certain conversations. Because what pisses me off about that group, y'all all want to be so woke, but then when shit pop off, nobody stands up and say, yo, that was wrong. Y'all only pick and choose who y'all want to say was wrong. And that's not right. It's simply not right. And that's why it's hard for shows like this to work when it's a mixed race cast, because if it's more of one group of people than the other, the dynamic and the dynamics is going to always be off. It just honestly is. And even though there are people of color on this show, there's a difference between even Riley and the other people of color on this show. And that's just a blatant fact. It really honestly is. I do like the show because it makes us aware of a lot of conversations that need to be had with race, with microaggressions, with accountability, with the way that you talk to people, privilege. It's a lot of conversations that this show has brought up that need to be discussed. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to them for that. I do hope that they get a season 2 though. But y'all let me know what y'all thought about this week's episode of Next Gen NYC. I'm going to give this week's episode an A. I think that this show is really good. I'm really loving this show. I love you guys, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.